I'm out here in Miami, Florida, and here at the meditation intensive weekend with Stuart. And Stuart, I wonder if you'd like to introduce yourself a little bit and what you teach, and anything else you want to say as an introduction.
Yes, of course. Well, my name is Stuart Perrin, and I've been teaching for 35, 40 years Kundalini Yoga meditation in the lineage of my teacher Rudy. Some people know him as Swami Rujananda. And I've been teaching this for a very long time to people basically all over the world. And it's a meditation practice that really helps a human being to build inside themselves a real foundation, real balance, and learn how to develop the chakra system, and to literally use the tools we're born with in order to develop inside ourselves and build a connection with higher energy in the universe. I mean, every human being has these tools, but very few people know how to use them. And basically, meditation is kind of like a gym. You know, you go there. I always tell my students, meditation is not a spiritual life. Meditation is a place you go to learn how to build a system inside yourself that will enable you to have a spiritual life. Spiritual life goes on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, goes on all month, all year, and the only thing that's missing from this time period is our consciousness. So what we have to learn how to do is to build that consciousness inside ourselves. We have to develop a system inside that is connected to higher energy in the universe. Principle in this is learning how to build foundation. It's something that most people avoid. Where to go inside yourself, where there is foundation, how to use the mind, the breath, your will, your need to grow, to develop that foundation so that you have an inner strength that can enable you to then open the heart, keep the mind quiet, and connect with higher energy. At the same time you're doing this, we all have karma to work out. So we live in the world, and we have to be able to learn how to live in the world and be free of the world at exactly the same time. And that's all meditation is. It's a simple practice that enables a human being to develop inside themselves the strength to ultimately become detached from all the kind of garbage and tension and crap that goes on in this world, so that we can truly become one with higher energy in the universe.
You mentioned a little bit about your teacher there, and this weekend is, to some extent, I guess it's timed with his Samadhi, as you call it.
Yeah, well, today is the day that my spiritual teacher took his Samadhi. And Samadhi is really the day we leave the world and we become, one with higher energy in the universe. Back on February 21st, 1973, my teacher, and I was actually with him, we were in an airplane flying up in the Catskill Mountains in New York, and the plane crashed. And my teacher, that's the moment that he took his Samadhi. I'll never forget that. His last words on this planet were a deeper sense of surrender. Those were his last words. And I was holding his hand when we hit that mountain. And, and I could feel his soul literally flow from his body into my body. And I'm sure it's the only reason I'm alive today. Nobody hits a mountain at 130 miles an hour and walks away. Yeah. Unless God really has a plan for them in this life.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to follow that higher plan, you're just kind of a foolish person, who just takes for granted your life and takes for granted what living is all about. So today is that very sacred day that Rudy took his Samadhi, and that I was with him when it happened, and I made the commitment, when I realized that he had passed on. I said to myself, Stuart, you spent 6 years with this amazing being. You got the most incredible training that anybody could get in terms of spiritual development. I said, now you'll find out what those 6 years were all about. Now you'll find out what you learned, and if you can continue to do this teaching and, train other people and allow this teaching to pass down from generation to generation. So it's a very sacred day for me today. It's the day of Rudy Samadhi. Certainly a major changing point in my own life.
Sure.
I tell you frankly, I look in the mirror every morning, I see a living miracle. I don't think I belong. I'm not supposed to be walking on this planet, you know.
Yeah.
And I say, God, Stuart, you hit a mountain.
Yeah.
You're a living miracle. You better spend every day of your life opening to a higher force in the universe and being a channel for that energy so you can pass it on to other people.
What you were mentioning today was very interesting about that some of the things that Rudy taught you on the first day are secrets that other schools perhaps don't teach people for many years, and they have to show some kind of commitment maybe or whatever before they get shown this stuff. And
well, maybe I shouldn't reveal the secret until people are ready to listen to them. You know, look, what Rudy taught me was one of the most profound forms of Kundalini Yoga. You know, and it's something I know that in many spiritual disciplines you have to wait around 20 years. My phone is ringing.
oh,
Let me just turn it off. Okay, you have to wait around. You can edit this, can't you?
yeah,
You have to wait around about 20 years for people to really show you what that's all about. I mean, Kundalini is perhaps the most ancient form of inner work. It's a work that directly awakens the whole chakra system for the purpose of learning how to transform the human level into the spiritual level. You know, so, you know, it basically is learning how to evolve through 7 cycles of energy. The first cycle, which is what I'll talk about now, is the cycle where, you know, we really learn how to become human beings. And what do I mean by that? You know, the highest level of being human is to live with an open heart, to be full of love, to have gratitude, you know, to be a happy person, basically. You know, and I've always told people, happy people are enlightened people. But find a happy person, you know, it's almost like looking for the Holy Grail, to find somebody on this planet that is happy. So happy people, so the whole point of this is to build the foundation so that we can get the heart center to open. And when the heart center not only opens but stays open, we experience a profound inner joy, gratitude. We interrelate with life in terms of compassion, love, you know, understanding, patience, forgiveness, you know, and all these things that really, you know, transmute into a really high level of what it means to be a human being. Now, I've learned through many years of practicing meditation and inner work that these things don't just come. You have to build a system in yourself that's strong enough to make it possible for these things to become a reality. First, you have to build chi. Chi is a really powerful energy force that is located just below the navel in what the Japanese call the hara, the Chinese call it the tatien, you know, and it's also known as, you know, the third chakra or the chakra right below the navel. You know, this is the area of balance and foundation in a human being. And once we learn to keep our mind focused in that area, the mind literally becomes a surgical instrument that will open that area. And it will not only open that area, it'll begin to build chi. And chi gives us rootedness, it gives us foundation, it gives us real inner strength. And when we build that chi inside ourselves, the next step is to open the heart. Understand, the heart, you know, it's like a flower. You need a stem, you need roots, you know, so the flower, so the chi is like the petals of a flower. The heart is like the petals of a flower. And the roots go right into the area, you know, of the hara. So you have that inner strength to keep the heart open. Once the heart opens, and all of that stuff that goes on in the mind, you know, I always compare it to a bird cage with 1,000 canaries that never stop yakking. You know, that all can flow down, and it becomes part of the chi. So the mind gets quiet, and when the mind gets quiet, we can receive wisdom from the universe. Not intelligence, human intelligence, but higher energy teaching us a logic that really transcends the logic that exists on the earth. So what you do in the first stages is you build your humanity. Then as your humanity gets strong and developed, the next stage is to transform the humanity into energy that activates Kundalini. That all takes place in the sexual area. I mean, that is the mystery of Tantra, how to take the human and transform it into the divine. So all of these things are a process that work, because a human being gets training, they learn how to do it. I don't advise anybody to sit down and try to do this on their own. They're going to make themselves crazy. You really have to learn how to do it. You need a little sit with somebody who has mastered this over years.
Sure.
And is willing to teach it to you. And, and as they say, it's really the oldest, tritest expression on the spiritual path. When the disciple is ready, the guru will appear.
Yeah.
And I promise you, when anybody is ready to truly have a spiritual life, a teacher will manifest somehow for them.
Yeah, and hopefully for some people, maybe this video will be a connection to you for many people.
Could be, I don't, what I teach is not mystery, it's not secret,
Yeah.
It's not some arcane book, that you got to go browse through some old dusty library to find, mysteries. I mean, it's just all basic common sense. And I learned that from Rudy. Rudy kind of taught a street smart yoga, that was based on common sense. And I saw him take a place like New York City, where I was born and raised, frankly, and turn it into a temple.
Yeah.
And that to me was the most extraordinary thing I'd ever experienced when I was a young man. To see somebody take a place as intense as New York City and suddenly became magical.
Yeah.
It became glorious. It became like a temple. And I said, man, I got to learn how to do this. And I made a commitment then. I said, I am going to learn how to do this. I don't care what it had to cost me in my life. I was going to learn how to do this. So I spent a lot of time with him, and I think I learned how to do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned about you no longer see life as this difficult thing, but you see life as a teacher. You no longer fear life.
Well, years ago, when I was with Rudy, he asked me to go teach at an ashram that he started in Texas.
Yeah.
It's a funny story. He said, I want you to go for 3 weeks. I wound up spending 9 years there. But he came down, I'll never forget it. 6 months later, I said, Rudy, this is a hell of a 3 weeks. So he said to me, look, Stuart, you're on your 4th day. So you finally begin to understand how the earth was created in 7 days. But anyway, just before I left, about 15 minutes before I left for Texas, he said to me, anybody ever asked you who the guru is, what the guru is, you just tell them the guru is life. And I heard that. It took me 20 years to learn what he meant. Mm-hmm. The guru is life. You build a system inside yourself to get to a point where you can truly sit in front of life and listen to life and learn what life has to teach. And anyone who is a physical manifestation of a spiritual teacher is not the ultimate guru. All they are is an instructor that is teaching you ultimately how to learn from life. And to me, that is the key to spiritual enlightenment, because life will teach you everything you have to know about yourself and what you have to learn to grow inside and to develop a connection with God or higher energy or basically whatever you want to call it.
Maybe a little bit of a technical question, but I was wondering about the difference between
healing.
But like if you've got these blocks inside you, is this, and you do inner work, it seems like there's karma that you act out, but there's also the inner work that helps. So if you do inner work, are you getting rid of that karma before you have to go through it in life? Is that anything to do with it, or?
No, you do your inner work to get strong enough to work out your karma.
Right.
Look, there are 3 things. There's the internal life of a human being, and then we all live in this kind of crazy world that we live in, So we have the inner, we have the outer, and we have the higher energy. The chakra below the navel is the vortex for all of this. That is really the strength that enables you to develop an inner life, at the same time to live in the world and to learn how to keep your heart open, and an expression of your inner life becomes compassion. So you live in the you have your internal life where you're building a system inside that's connected with spirit. You relate to the world with compassion, with love, with kindness, with goodness, with higher levels of what it means to be human. At the same time, you're not a jerk. You understand when people are bringing you a lot of crap, and you don't have to put up with it. But you don't do it in a malicious way. You do it like, hey, it's enough. I don't have to go through that with you.
Yeah.
I can say no to you. Not no in a mean way, just no, stop it. We don't need to go through this together. So there's the inner, there's the outer, and there's the higher, and it's like a triangle. And the chakra that's right below the navel is the vortex. And then that enables the heart to open, and basically the highest level of communion on this planet is compassion, to love, to forgive, to have patience with people, to understand that every human being on this planet in one way or another is going through it, is having difficulty, is suffering in some way. So that we don't sit in judgment of them, we don't, my way is better than your way. We learn to listen and learn and open and let life teach us. Now to do this, you have to have an amazingly strong inner life. It's not something that you can do by just going out and doing it. You have to build a system inside that is strong enough to do this.
So if people want to connect with you, come to your classes, maybe read your books, how can they find out more about you, and where are you to be found?
www.stuartperrin.com. I have a Facebook page. They can go there. There's a lot of stuff there. Stuart Perrin. Just put me in Facebook and bingo, I come up. It's the modern world today. And also, Stuart at stuartperrin.com is my email. And, look, I never know where people are going to come. Look, you came from Scotland, for God's sake, to attend these classes. I never know where people are. I had a gentleman from Poland about 4 days ago who got in touch with me, wants to do Rudy's work. So it's, in the world today, people find out about you. I am open to teach anyone who truly wants to learn. But I ask that. They really have to want to learn. I don't want to waste my time with people. They really have to want to learn.
Any final thoughts or anything you'd like to say before we finish?
Thank you for doing this.
Ronnie.
It's very nice. God bless you, and I hope people can benefit from it. That's all.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, Stuart, and anyone, stuartperrin.com, we'll put a link down below, and you've got books as well. A Lotus in Muddy Waters is one of your books?
One of my books is A Lotus Flower in Muddy Waters. Another one in Muddy Waters. Another one is called Rudy, The Final Moments.
Sure.
Which is basically a book I really like because it's the story of the airplane crash I was in with Rudy. But not just the crash, but it really takes in the entire guru-disciple relationship, what it means to learn from a teacher, how that whole process works. And it's written kind of like a novel. It goes through different stages of time and space, and I really enjoyed writing it. I like that book a lot. And there's other ones. There's one called Leia, Story of Meditation and Healing. I wrote many, many years ago. And some other one called Moving On, Finding Happiness in a Changed World. People could probably find these books on Amazon.
That's like a ferry boat.
Well, that's how I found Stuart's work, was actually when I was in India about maybe 7 years ago, 6, 5, I don't know. And one of your books was over there in a shop, which is really unusual, I guess.
They publish my books in India. There's a place a publishing house in Mumbai that published 2 of my books there.
But that's what struck me about your book and your teaching, is that there was clarity to it, where a lot of spiritual stuff is very, there's these experiences that might happen, might not, there's these people you might meet and all this stuff out there, but there's never any clarity in terms of here's how you sit down and do this, and your teachings have a lot of that. So for people out there who have been around the block and are looking for some clarity, then Stuart is a teacher that's been doing this for a long time. Okay, thank you. We're going to eat now and enjoy the rest of the course.
Okay.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you. Thank you.